Do you consider yourself a god?
My God. There is no God. So how can I consider myself a God? God is the greatest lie invented by man.
I think that when I die, there will be nothingness. That's what I firmly believe.
And it's my view that the simplest explanation is, there is no God. No one created the universe, and no one directs our fate.
Of course there's no God. Of course there are no deities or supernatural spirits or angels, etc. Now let's move on.
Well, really after is, what is my stance on religion or spirituality or God? And I would say if I had to find a word that came closest, it would be agnostic.
Not. I hope that the God that is adored by millions of people is a grown-up kind of God. There are no good arguments in favor of a God, and that's all one needs to say.
I'm sorry, it takes more faith to believe in a natural origin of life than for a design.
Have you ever stopped to think about the cocoon or the little caterpillar that spins it? This tiny creature works tirelessly to create an astonishing cocoon, and then it enters, venturing on a journey of transformation. Days later, it emerges as a butterfly. But what exactly happens inside that cocoon? Imagine this. A simple carriage enters a cage, and everything inside it is completely shattered. The carriage falls apart. The rubber, the glass, the gears, the metal, the engine, everything is broken and torn apart. Now, picture this happening in the confines of the cage. And after a few days, we find ourselves standing in awe before a massive airplane emerging from the same cage, soaring into the sky. This, in essence, is exactly what happens inside the cocoon. The caterpillar enters the cocoon, and then something truly remarkable happens. It begins to secrete digestive enzymes that start to break down its own body. The caterpillar literally dissolves, turning into a soup of proteins. All that remains are a few specialized cells within the cocoon, cells that carry the instructions for the transformation into a butterfly. These cells guide the transformation of the soup into something extraordinary, an amazing butterfly. Yes, from this very soup, a fully formed butterfly emerges, with its wings, compound eyes, reproductive system, flight mechanism, and navigation system, all perfectly designed. None of these things existed in the caterpillar. There were no wings, no complex eyes, no flight system, and no functional reproductive system. Yet, in the butterfly, all of this materializes in awe-inspiring details. It's exactly as I described. A simple carriage shatters, and from it, a giant airplane emerges. And this raises a question that every rational person must ask. How is this possible? How does the caterpillar allow itself to enter the cocoon? It knows that its cells will soon die. How can it take such a risk with its own life, knowing that its body will completely break down? It's almost as if it willingly walks into its own grave, fully aware of what awaits it inside the cocoon.
If you're a caterpillar, you're entering your own grave. Turning most of your body into a molecular soup would be suicide.
So it wouldn't be any benefit at all to kill yourself unless you've got a hidden plan up your sleeve. You know, like, okay, I know I can go ahead and commit suicide because there's a new me waiting to happen.
Imagine if the caterpillar was an atheist. Imagine if it didn't believe in life after death. Would it still embark on this adventure? Would it still enter the cocoon willingly? It's impossible. No matter how many times you told it that its simple, worm-like life would soon transform into an amazing new life in the sky with beautiful wings, it wouldn't care. Not as long as it was an atheist. This is a risk only a creature with an instinct that praises and surrenders to God would take. Now take the greatest universities, the most brilliant minds, and the most advanced laboratories. Give them all the time they want. Can they, with all their efforts, turn a single caterpillar into a butterfly? The ultimate dream of the world's universities and their greatest hope is to create something 1,000,000 times simpler than a bacterium, yet they remain and will always remain unable to achieve it.
Cell like an E. coli, every molecule will encounter every single other molecule at least once a second.
Just the complexity of one single molecule of a bacterium is beyond their understanding. With all their knowledge, research, universities, and laboratories. So what about a butterfly, with its intricate navigation systems, beautifully stunning wings, complex organs, and reproductive system? Just imagine how much evidence of divine power is embodied in a butterfly. By the way, butterflies appear suddenly. There is no room for natural selection here, no place for the myth of evolution. What truly happens is that a soup of dead cells suddenly transforms into a butterfly.
Without foresight, it's highly unlikely natural selection would retain a destructive process like cell death.
When the caterpillar enters the cocoon stage, it is in fact beginning a journey through a kind of an intermediary realm where the soul resides between death and resurrection. It is preparing itself for a new life. This miracle, the caterpillar, then the cocoon, and finally the butterfly, is truly one of the most astonishing wonders imaginable. God declares in Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2, verse 73, "Thus does Allah bring the dead to life, and He shows you His signs that you might reason." One of the most striking parallels drawn by God is between the resurrection of humanity on the Day of Judgment and the emergence of the butterfly. This delicate creature, which transforms from a seemingly lifeless cocoon into a vibrant being, mirrors the resurrection we will one day experience. In Surah Al-Qari'ah, chapter 101, verse 4, "It is the day when people will be like moths, dispersed." Every day, this verse of the butterfly is before your eyes, reminding you of the inevitable day when you too will be brought back to life. Allah challenges us to recognize His signs, asking in Surah Ghafir, chapter 40, verse 81, "And He shows you His signs, so which of the signs of Allah will you deny?" Allah further emphasizes in Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, verse 21, that they might know that the promise of Allah is true and that there is no doubt about the hour. The Creator who fashioned the heavens and the earth, along with every creature within them, is surely capable of recreating life. The same Allah who gave life to the butterfly can bring you back to life with ease. In Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17, verse 99, "Do they not see that Allah, who created the heavens and the earth, is able to create the likes of them? And He has appointed for them a term about which there is no doubt. But the wrongdoers refuse anything except disbelief." Recreating is in fact easier for Him. He initiates creation and repeats it effortlessly. Do you believe that Allah, who created you, sustained you, and entrusted you with responsibilities, would leave you without accountability? Reflect on His warning in Surah Sa'd, chapter 38, verse 27, "And we did not create the heaven and the earth, and that between them aimlessly." That is the assumption of those who disbelieve. So woe to those who disbelieve from the fire. At this point, let us pause and reflect on something important. We mentioned that the cocoon secretes powerful digestive enzymes that break down the caterpillar's body. These enzymes dissolve the cocoon completely, turning it into a soup of proteins where all the cells die. Only a few specialized cells remain, carrying the instructions for the transformation into a butterfly. These cells then guide the soup, directing it to form the amazing butterfly. What is truly astonishing here is that, after death, the same process occurs with humans in exactly the same way. After a person dies, digestive enzymes are released from the body's cells, and these enzymes begin to dissolve the tissues entirely, breaking down the body and all its cells. Just as there are a few specialized cells left in the cocoon, there are also specialized cells that remain in the human body. As the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "The whole of the son of Adam will be consumed by the earth, except for the tailbone from which he was created and from which he will be created again." The tailbone, or coccyx, is the last part of the spine at the base of the vertebral column. This remarkable area is unaffected by the digestive enzymes, just like the specialized cells in the caterpillar. This leads us to a question. Is this area truly made up of specialized cells? The answer is yes. This area is the very foundation from which humans are created. In the first days of the third week of pregnancy, what is known in embryology as the primitive streak appears. And this primitive streak is responsible for the formation of the embryo, as it creates the specialized cells that will eventually form the fetus in later stages. By the end of the third week of pregnancy, this streak begins to gradually disappear, leaving behind what is known as the caudal eminence. Then, this eminence starts to shrink as well, ultimately transforming into the tailbone, or coccyx. So, the coccyx is originally the primitive streak from which the embryo is formed. It is the place from which we were created. As the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, informed us 1400 years ago, it is a region of specialized, astonishing cells from which we were created and in which we will be reassembled on the day of judgment. In the end, we will be reassembled once again, and we will emerge just as the butterfly does. But while the butterfly will return to dust, humanity has only two paths before it: an eternal paradise or an eternal hell.